Hey Be Transform family, welcome back to the channel. I pray and hope all is well in you all's life in Jesus' name. So today the Lord actually put it on my heart to come on here and actually have like a little story time on how I backslid after I already came to Him the first time. And I believe the Lord wanted me to share this part of my testimony even the more and going deeper into details on what that looked like for me, because I have a feeling that some of you may have went through the same thing or may even going through the same thing right now as we speak. And so my prayer is that as God is allowing me to release this and to tell a little bit of my story, my backstory on this, that it would help some of you all and it would free some of you all. And so that's my prayer. And so I'm just going to get right into the video and just let you guys know what that looked like for me. So I would say it was like around early 2022, mid 2022. I was going through a lot of challenges, I should say. And I was going through a lot of challenges with men in my life. I was dating at the time. I was going through things with my stepfather. I was going through things with even my biological father. And around this time, I should say, I was going off to college to play, on a basketball scholarship or whatnot. So I went off to college in Maryland. And by the time I went off to college in Maryland, it seemed like even the more everything just kind of like started crumbling. I was already not on good terms with my stepdad. I was already not in good terms with my biological father. And then the guy I was dating, not long after I was in college, me and him end up not being on good terms. And so I quickly just started to feel like, Lord, I gave you my life, which was back in, I would say, the end of 2018. And so, I'm like, Lord, I gave you my life, doing this, doing that. I'm like, but all these men in my life, are letting me down, literally one after another, and it started to make me feel even the more of, rejection or fear or, honestly, I struggle with my worth as well, if I'm being honest, because I just felt like I wasn't even worth, I just didn't feel worth it, honestly. Like, I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel like, that any good was coming out of it, that I just, everything was just going wrong. Let me just say that everything was just going wrong. I just didn't see the need at the time for me to just keep going and keep pressing in, because I'm just like, but Lord, you're supposed to fix everything, everything's supposed to start coming together. And if anything, it was like, I feel like it was just all falling apart, to be honest. So with that being said, when I was in college, I was just having that mindset of, well, this new lifestyle that I have chosen is not working. And I was like, I'm just going to go back to what I know. Now, for any of you that are probably in this right now, at the time that, you guys probably felt, or I should say was thinking the same way I was thinking at the time. When I went back, it wasn't even like it's like physically I did, but spiritually and mentally I didn't, because it's like when you come to Christ, like you just can't just go back to sin and it is going to be the same, because it's not, because now the Lord has awakened, like, your spiritual eyes, like He's opened your spiritual eyes. He's, He took the veil off your eyes, like He took, all the darkness away from you, and like you were able to see, things that you didn't see when you first were in sin and living in sin and in the world, because you were bound to darkness. When I came to Christ, it was like, oh my gosh, like this is bad, like, this is good, and this, that, and the third, and I knew good from evil and all these things. And so when I decided to go back to that lifestyle, like that's just how I felt. Like I just knew it wasn't right. And I knew that I shouldn't have been doing it, but I was like, I don't know what else to do but to go back to what I know. And I only went back because it's what we call comfortable. It's a comfort thing. It's like, for example, because I used to be addicted to pornography as well. You would go to pornography as a way of comfort. Even for some people, it may be food. You go to food for comfort. You're going back to what you know that at the time was comfort for you. And for me, what was comfort for me was, back in that lifestyle, honestly. And I actually did dibble dabble into pornography again, if I'm being honest. And so around this time, it was like for months, like I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing. I was on dating apps, talking to girls. I was sleeping with a girl, if I'm being honest as well. And did I like it? Did I enjoy it? No. But I pretty much forced myself back into what I knew. And so I would say, coming towards the end of that year, that school year, and I'm getting to this because I just feel like some of you need to hear this. And so at the end of the school year, I remember, and I was actually kind of going back and forth, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say this too. During the school year, I was kind of like going back and forth. It was like I mentally made up my mind, okay, I'm going to just go back to what I know. But spiritually, it was like, you know better. You know that there's more, even though you haven't seen it yet, even though you may have not seen the fruits of it yet, you still know it's more. So it literally felt like it was a tug of war in the spirit, like literally like light and darkness. That's literally how it felt. And so, that was going on. And so, like I said, towards the end of the school year, I remember like I was just done. I was done. I was like, Lord, I don't want this. Lord, I don't want to deal with this, because during the whole school year, I was dealing with depression again. I was dealing with anxiety again. I was dealing with just a whole bunch of stuff. The fear of death, the spirit of death was just over me. I could feel it. It was like all the things that the Lord put me out in the first time, it was like it was all coming back, but twice as much. And I was just crying out to God, and I'm just like, Lord, I don't want this. And I did. I gave my life back to Christ. I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore. And I literally put my foot down, and I did exactly what, God told me to do the first time when he pulled me out of everything. And I did that again this time around. And when I did it this time around, God was showing me that I had things in me that I needed deliverance from. Such as, because I never went through deliverance. I came to Christ. I do believe certain things that I was dealing with, he just ripped out of me. But I do believe there were still a lot of hidden things and, hidden things that were in my life that just needed to be revealed and needed to be kicked out. And so God was letting me know intimidation. I had intimidation with my mom. The Lord had to break that. I had rejection issues, rejection. And that was more of I would say more of an ongoing type of thing the Lord was dealing with me on, simply because it was also part of my healing process concerning father wounds. So I was dealing with rejection. I was dealing with fear, anxiety, perversion. Perversion was like a door that he slammed, and I actually heard it in the spirit. I should say like it was more of like a knowing. It was more like a knowing. It's like I knew it, and at the time somebody was actually taking me through deliverance over the phone. And when I felt in my spirit like that door closed, I remember the lady that was on the phone. She was like, she was like, I literally heard the door slam, and I was like, wow. And I felt it, like it's like it was like a deep knowing, like God was letting me know I closed that door. And I knew he meant business, like, do not open that door back again. And so again, I don't play around when God delivers me. I just don't, I can't, I can't go back. I don't want to go back. So anyways, moving on. God was showing me all these different things about what was in my life and things that I needed healing from, still things that were still keeping me bound and I didn't even know it. And God was letting me know, like, you still need healing from this. You still need to forgive this person. You still need to forgive that person. You still need to, go through healing here. You still need deliverance from this, And so as God was taking me through all this, this whole journey, like, it really started opening my eyes, to how the enemy was playing on the things that I was still holding on to unknowingly. And regardless if I didn't know something, like, it could still affect me, because that's why God says in the Bible, my people suffers or perish for a lack of knowledge. So whether we know something or not, like, the enemy has legal access if we have that door wide open and we don't know whether we know it or not. Like, he has that access, unless God says something, and he intervenes. But I still believe even within certain doors that were open, even in some of our lives, even some of you all lives that are still living in sin, God has and is protecting us from certain things that we don't even know that is going on in the spiritual realm. And so, that's just my story on how, everything came about. Like, I went back to sin because of all the men that was, all the things that were just not going right concerning men in my life. And these were men I felt like was supposed to be there, was supposed to protect me, was supposed to love on me, all these different things. And I was getting none of that from them. So the fact that I wasn't getting any of that from them, I just went back to females, because I'm like, well, I had a better outcome with females than them, And so that was my mentality at the time. But again, when I went back to it, it just was not the same. And I came to a place of surrender. And if that is you, if you need to come back to a place of surrender, say, God, you know what? I came to you the first time and I went back to what I knew because of, that's what I was comfortable with. And because, people disappointed me and things like that, whatever the case may be, come back to Christ, come back to him. Because at the end of the day, again, his word says that, men will fail us. But at the end of the day, like, we have a Father that never leave us, will never forsake us. He holds us up with his righteous right hand, and so I feel like we just have to just cling on to his word. We just have to get closer to him and get into a deeper fellowship, a deeper relationship with him. And just like how he done it for me, and I'm still going through the transformation. And I feel like the transformation is always it's always something that's going to continue on until Christ returns. We're always being transformed. And that's also in his word, we go from glory to glory. Like, there's always a new glory. There's always a new level to reach. Like, we're never done learning. We're never done growing. We're always transforming. Our minds is always transforming. Our minds is always renewing, So, yeah. And so if that is you, if you feel like, you went back, you backslid, come back to Christ. Just stop playing around. Just stop. Just come back. Just come back, because we don't know the day nor the hour, first off, of when Christ is going to return. And we don't know the day nor the hour when our time just may be up. And for me, I feared of dying in my sin, because I knew for a fact where I was going to go. So stop playing with God. Get right. He has his hand extended to you all the time, and he's just waiting on the day and in the moment that you just grab onto his hand and say, you know what, pull me out. I'm done. I'm over it. I'm all yours. Where do we start? And he's literally going to take it from there, because he's a good father. And so I just pray that my testimony has blessed you all. I pray that my transparency has touched your hearts, that some of you can also look in your lives, and just say, like, you know what, that's me. Or, you may not have went through the same thing, but you can kind of relate it to a different area in your life and be like, you know what, that is still speaking to me, and I just believe God is using me to reach many of you who have turned your back, and he's reaching out, he's wanting you. And so give your life to Christ, y'all. Give your life back to Christ. Be sold out for him and watch what he do. Like, I went from, man, if I could just tell you, like, I went through it. I went through some stuff, especially as a Christian. I went through some stuff, And Jesus said it, like, we're going to go through trials. We're going to go through hardship. But I'd rather go through that with him than without him, because it's so much easier with him. You know, he gives us strength. He gives us strength to go another day when we just want to stop, and when we just want to throw in the towel. He's like, no, you're going to keep going. You're going to keep pressing. And he sends people to pour into you. He, you know what I'm saying? Like, he just hits you with, you know, with a second wind. And so I know for a fact, if he's done it for me, he would do it for you all, you know. So just keep that in mind. Be encouraged. Keep your head up high. I love you all. I pray that the Lord will continue to bless you. I pray the Lord will continue to reveal himself to you. I pray that as you continue to press in into the presence of the Lord, that he would just meet you right where you are, and that healing and deliverance would take place by the finger of God. You know, and so that's my prayer. And I pray that you all will have your own personal relationship, you know, where you don't have to rely on your pastor, where you don't have to rely on different prophets of the, you know, of God and things like that, that you would get the word from God himself, and that you would have your own personal relationship with the Lord instead of piggybacking off of somebody else's relationship that they personally have with the Lord. Find your own favor, have your own blessing over your life from the Lord, have your own relationship, you know, with the Lord. Because at the end of the day, when we before God, you know, nobody's going to be beside us. It's just going to be us and God, and we're going to take account for everything that we have done. And he's either going to say, depart from me, I never knew you, or he's going to say, well done, my good and faithful servant.